Welcome to Seal Beam Rally Team. I'm Tyler. This episode is sponsored by Clark's Corvair parts, but more on them later. We're going to work on the rear suspension today. We're going to try to get this thing all assembled. And the first thing we want to do is put the control arms on the subframe. But before I do that, I need to put some studs in here. You may remember from the disassembly video that all four of these studs broke off at the end of the control arm. They hold the kind of axle flange into the control arm. Very important studs. So one of the things I love about Clark's is I can just go on. I don't need to measure anything. I can just go in, get the right studs, and then I can get all the right nuts and washers. Don't have to put any effort forward. So I'm going to put these in here. I got a little bit of anti-seize because I don't want to have it rusting in there. And then I got a bigger nut I'm going to put over the stud. The big nut will act as a spacer, and then we'll use the correct nut to draw that thing forward like a press. I think that's bottomed out. Sweet. One in, three to go. There we go. Let's throw these things back on so we don't lose them and move on to the next part. Now we're going to reference our assembly instructions here from Clark's. This has got pictures on everything you need to know to put things back together. We got our subframe here, we got our control arm here, a little bit of an e-brake cable bracket, the different bolts, and then another kind of close up here. So we're going to take that over to here. We got our bolts set out, and we got a little note in there. Shows you how to use them for the forward controls and how to use them for the cars. So for these, they're saying we only need 3 of these shorter bolts. We're going to use the rest on this car. So the long one goes through the extra thick portion where you have the extra layer of metal there. So let's get this control arm mounted up here. We'll put these bolts in and see if they can get snugged up a little bit. Pretty hefty unit we got here. All right, let's get that held in there. Now that I have a couple started, I'm going to use my anti-seize because we don't want these things sticking in there again. So I'm going to put that all around the head and the shaft here, and we will make sure that that comes out easily again if we needed to again. When I got them powder coated, they tend to not coat the inside of holes, and that's so that the thickness of the powder coating doesn't get in the way of clearances and getting your bolts in. So it's kind of nice sometimes, but at the same time you need to pay attention to make sure that you're not kind of getting yourself in a hard place. Now this is the one that goes kind of in that top hat area. So we're going to put it on a socket extension here, stick that through the hole. Gosh, it looks so good. Got our anti-seize on all of them. Oh, what did I forget? E-brake cable bracket. So let's put that on, and then we can tighten these things down. In the assembly manual, it calls for 45 to 55 American torque units. All right, 3 more to go. Huh. That nut is, the washer is kind of not liking its life. I'm going to pop that off. I'll replace it, and I'll try to find a new one at Ace or something. I've never seen that happen ever before. Well, Clark's got back to me real quick, actually overnight, not even in business hours. And basically, I forgot that I'm using anti-seize. That's a lubricant, and we use a lubricant on the threads. You should reduce the torque value by about 25%. So it looks like I over torqued these by like 33%. So I got some new washers from Ace Hardware. Let's install those and see how they go at lower torque value. Please ignore the cooling fan on the inside charger right now. I'm shooting 2 videos right now and they're both in the same garage. So we have a part from the Clark's multi-kit here, and this is again the rear suspension ultimate multi-kit. This is one part number where you can order everything you need to restore the kind of rear suspension area. And part of that is these cool new trans mounts, and these come in the kit. I put some Amsoil metal protector on them so that when they go in they're kind of protected from everything. And then also comes in the kit are these crossmember bolts. So we're going to throw those in right now, and it should be pretty simple. I mean, really, pretty simple. What I did on the control arm bolts was I was having issues with putting too much torque into those split lock washers and having those kind of open up a little bit. So I lowered the torque value on those 25% because of the lubrication of the threads, but I also put a little bit of anti-seize on the bottom of the nut, just around the top of that, or the bottom of it, and put it down so then it slides against that washer a little bit easier, allows it to torque up properly. That's something that I learned on, I think, doing the clutch on the truck. They're good to go. I think I have all the mounts in here. I am still missing the little dust shields that go in the control arms. I'm getting that on the next order. And then I have the parking brake cable that has to go in here first. But the parking brake cable has to connect into the brake shoes and the backing plates. So let's put the backing plates on. I got these things powder coated, so they're pretty nice looking. And I checked, they're both stamped the same, they look the same, and in the assembly manual, they are marked as the same part, left and right. We gotta throw a little fluid film on the back of the plate here, and that's on the non-brake side, so that's something to go against. The axle flanges actually bolt through the same holes on the backing plate, so I'm not gonna torque these up, I'm just gonna install them loose, make sure that the vacuum plates don't move. One thing you could easily do with these is to install the wheel cylinders before you put it on the subframe, but I don't have the bolts that go in here, so I'm gonna have to go to Ace, grab some bolts. I'll throw the backing plate on first and then throw the wheel cylinders on second. The only difference in these is that the one wheel cylinder has the hose on one side and the bleeder on the other, and the other one has them switched. So you gotta make sure that you're getting one with a hose going toward the subframe, not away from it. Yeah, pretty easy. Should be noted that you are not allowed to put these things on upside down because of the wider bolt spacing on the top. So kind of idiot proof. Well, I say that, but somebody will prove me wrong. Sometimes I prove myself wrong. This subframe is looking awesome. I've got a lot of parts on it and a lot of stuff off the bench and out of boxes. I am super happy with this Clark's Corvair multi-kit, and I thank Clark's Corvairs for sponsoring this episode again. It's awesome to be able to just order all the bolts in one click, not have to worry about what size, what style, what surfacing plating on it, or zinc or stainless, whatever it is. I just hit the button, I got it here. And if you need to have that kind of same lowering of stress in your restoration or build, go check out Clark's, they got it for you. Now, it's super tempting here to go in and throw in the shocks and throw in some springs and make this thing all one piece. I'm also super tempted to install the brake shoes and everything too, but I gotta stop myself because on the take apart section of this whatever, when I took it apart, I had to compress the springs quite a lot with the tractor to get the shocks out. So I wanna make sure that when the shocks and springs go in, I have the whole subframe under the car and I can actually lower it down on that and get that support to help me put that all in. So can't go in yet. I also got to wait on the brake shoes because they don't have the wheel cylinders done, and I don't know if that flange from the axle is going to get in the way of the shoes. Next time, on the next episode of the Corvair, I believe we're going to be cleaning up the transaxle here. The transaxle is super gunky and dirty. I got the top cover powder coated and a couple other things that we're going to go over when we get to there. But check it out. Please subscribe if you haven't and press on.